plastics is almost like profanity these days. If you see it online, if you see someone actually using plastic, you'd think that, oh, you've got to change. This is no longer happening. This is not really the thing you should use right now. But is it really useful to demonize a whole commodity? So some of us may remember that about 40, 50 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, actually, when plastic came along, that was actually one of the biggest inventions. It's lightweight, it's waterproof, it's actually very malleable. There are many types of it. And best of all, it's barely a penny a piece. Barely a baht a piece. So what is better than plastic? And you can't hear this from someone from WWF, can you? What I'm saying is that plastic is an excellent material that we should use wisely. And at WWF, we are trying to say that there's no silver bullet for plastics. Okay, we're not saying that we can replace it in one night with another material that's also perfect. And because you know what? That's what plastic was. It was the perfect material. We never thought about the disposability of it until now. And so having a silver bullet and all of us switching over is probably going to be just reliving history again. We need to actually really rethink the consequences. What? By what? How do we do that? Okay. First, we look at single-use plastics. We know that that is actually a huge part of the problem. How can we curb that? How can we eliminate that from our supply chain and our hotels? That's number one. Number two is design with the end in mind. You need to know your complete life cycle. Okay, so that's what WWF recommends. And number three is to actually change from fossil fuel-based plastics into biofeedstock. So WWF leads with the private sector as well on biofeedstock. We look into the innovation of using other materials that are organic and degradable instead of fossil fuel materials. And last but not least, we need to actually retrieve what's out there in the oceans. Okay, as the gentleman just mentioned, that most of the plastic out there is actually from fishing gear and from a lot of legacy fishing material. And so we need to actually think about how to actually get that back. And we're starting innovation and also funding on that as well. And so speaking of plastics and speaking of Phuket, there's someone that knows plastic in Phuket much more than we do. So Marissa, can I ask you about your project, because it's so fascinating and so interesting. It's maybe another project as well, because you told me that you have a personal passion for plastics, personal passion for plastics. That's a lot of P. So please tell us that any other projects that you'd like to actually tell us about.
I'd actually like to talk about the one in Phuket, because I think it's doable for everybody here in the room, whether you're in the hotels industry or just trying to live a life that's more eco-friendly. I was here for July and August, got to visit 45 Phuket hotels that are associated in the Phuket Hotels Association, and basically created baseline data. So that's step one in trying to live a more eco-friendly life, whether as an individual or an industry. So create baseline data so you can measure your progress, right? The second one is talk. Oh my gosh, connect with each other. Make sure you know best practices, that's the third. And make sure you know what best practices look like. So everybody here, I could tell you, I live a plastic-free life. And you're like, oh, that's great. But you don't know what that looks like. Right? You don't know that I stand in the grocery store in front of one of my favorite fruits, blueberries, and almost break into tears because I can never buy them because they only come in plastic. So sometimes that's what a plastic-free life looks like, right? And sometimes it looks like a delicious banana right off a tree, plastic-free. So best practices. The fourth is sharing information. So we created in 2 months an environmental champions group, which I'm so proud of, that's dinging on the Line app on everybody's phone like crazy, sharing experiences between different hotels and sharing what works and what doesn't work. So that's really important. The fourth, or I don't know if I meant fourth or fifth, but a suppliers group. So making sure that everybody knows, all right, I tried this paper straw and it's terrible. So don't buy this one, buy this one, right? And that's what's going to change you in your life, and that's what's going to change industry. Before I stop talking, I want everyone here to think really hard about which plastic they're going to give up today and commit to it for an entire year. In 5 seconds, we're going to all shout it out. And it can't be a plastic you already gave up, because that's cheating. So it could be a cup, it could be a coffee cup lined in plastic, it could be an iced coffee cup, it could be a lids, it could be plastic straws, toothbrushes, oh my goodness. So, ready? Think. Hang on. Okay, ready? On the count of 3, everybody shout it out. Go! Shampoo bottles! That's a good one. Okay, thank you.
Another P that I have for you is passion. You're just so passionate about your work.